J. King. How are you, brother?
I'm wonderful. How are you, sir?
I'm great, man. So great to see you, brother.
Good to be seen and not viewed.
I just want to say to you that it is a privilege and an honor to be able to talk to you, and I thank you for fitting the time in your day to join me on this podcast.
Well, I mean, you're Ernie Singleton. Come on, man. I know you're gracious and humble, but man, you still Ernie. You are the great Ernie Singleton. Of course, I'm gonna make time for you.
Yeah, but you're J. King. You're Club Nouveau. You're Lean on Me.
Hey, man,
situation number 9.
I tell artists all the time. For the first time, now you guys used to say, "What do record companies do? What are they? They're not worth anything." Well, now you see a lot of artists out there on their own. Now they see the value of a record company. Now they see the value of an Ernie Singleton, the value of Gerald Busby, the value of a Lewis Silas, the value of a Benny Medina, of a Draper, the guys that really, Carl Scott, the guys that really turned the engine. And so now, we may be the people making the music, but you guys are the ones that made the music soundtracks to people's lives. And I think if artists don't understand or see that, then they need to wear some glasses like DMC because they're blind.
You're one of the forces, J. King. You're one of the forces, man. To this day, you validated so many independents, so many independent artists. You've done a lot. Other than making music and being famous as a singer, a songwriter, a performer, you've done a lot for other people. So let me start this program off.
Okay.
First of all, we call it Takeoff. So let me take off with this. You have you're a singer, you're a songwriter, you're a music producer, you're a talent manager, you're a radio broadcaster, you're a community servant. You've done a lot. I know a lot about you. I want you to give our audience an overview of who you are. Who is J. King?
I'm Helen's son.
I'm laughing because that's in your bio, but go on.
My mother, she was a wonderful, wonderful woman who really taught me humility, whether I practice it all the time, especially as a young person or not. It didn't matter. At the end of the day, you actually fall back onto the foundation that was given to you. And the older I became, the more I recognized, number one, the responsibility that was thrust upon me from the positions that I held, whether it was leading the charge with independent labels or being signed to a major record company and leading a group or managing artists or any of those things, or managing independent labels. There's a responsibility that comes with that requires you to not just know the word humility, but to practice it. And that's what time taught me.
Expound on that, because that's a big nerve, and I say expound on that for a lot of reasons, because me and you got history together. But we do, and it's, I hear it used a lot. People say, "Oh man, you got a lot of humility." Would you expound on?
Well, I got to tell you,
when did you learn to have humility, and what triggered that in your life?
So let me tell you, the first time was when I was 27 years old. Mm-hmm. I come off some big records. I just done the Madonna Who's That Girl soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
I just done the Club Nouveau album, the Michael Cooper album, both big sellers. Coming off of Rumors. And I went to Mo Austin one day because I didn't like the way he was running his company. His company was Warner Brothers. And I told Mo Austin I was going to whoop his ass.
Now, who was Mo Austin?
Mo Austin was the chairman of the board of Warner Brothers.
Yeah. Someone who I like to call a friend of mine, Mo Austin, I have a lot of respect for.
And Mo Austin looked at me, Ernie, and he got a pen. And he started hitting it up against his desk like this. And I'm telling him the best gangster shit in the world. And he said, my fights aren't physical. And I never had another hit record of Warner Brothers again. That was the beginning of humility. I didn't know it, but that was the first lesson that I learned. I love Mo Austin to this day. I tell people all the time, the greatest fight I ever had did not require a punch being thrown. And greatest lesson I learned as a 27-year-old boy. And 24 is when I do rumors. And by the time I'm 25, I'm one of the most powerful people in the music business. Not me saying it.
Yeah.
But magazines.
Yeah.
And writers and people saying Jay King is one of the 100 most powerful people in the music business. Now, Ernie, I've never.
And you were a pretty boy too. Then I remember you.
No, I don't think I was a pretty. I didn't know it, Ernie. I was a fighter.
You were sculpted, brother. You had great looks. In the black neighborhood, people would say you had good hair.
Well, but people would say I was a fighter. I used to fight all the time.
Oh yeah, and that too.
That's what I brought to the music business. And so I really didn't understand my position because I'm in the room with men 2 times my age. I'm making deals with, and the men in the room don't look like me. They're white. And so I'm the only black man in the room often. And because the deals I'm talking about are crazy deals. My deal with Warner Brothers was an incredible deal. It was guaranteed for 10 years. They couldn't fire me. I left Warner Brothers and they sued me. And so,
so I had the contract, Jay.
I had to settle with Warner Brothers to get out of my deal. And but these are lessons that you learn. So today I'm 59, right?
Yeah.
So that's 32 years ago. And in that lifetime, I have just, I've learned a lot of lessons. I've met a lot of friends. I made a lot of mistakes, but I also done a lot of incredible things. When we do rumors, we defy the laws of gravity in the music business. I'm an independent label, distributed 100% independently without a major company. I'm not even supposed to have a hit record on the national charts. I'm supposed to be a regional record that a major picks up before the majors know it.
What would you tell a 25-year-old J. King?
Get you a good consultant, somebody that you trust, somebody that has history in the music business, especially in things that you're not familiar with. And before you move or do anything, talk to your consultant, talk to your mentor, talk to the person that's your conscious, so you make smart decisions. The one thing I tell people all the time, the music business didn't do anything wrong. The music business was very good to me. I was in a position to make hundreds of millions of dollars, and Mo Austin helped put me in that position. So did Bob Buziak. So did Jerry Griffith, because they all did deals with me. So did Scott Folks. I had deals with 4 different labels. I was in a better position than Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, Ellie and Babyface, and they started before me. Leor and Russell. Andre Harrell used to sit in the car and let me hear his music before Uptown even had a record out. So, when you're only going to get a shot at this thing one time. So you have to make sure that you make every move count. And the music business is going to continue to change and be different. And you're not going to have the power. And I told Suge one day, dude, you can't whoop the music business.
Are you talking Sugarfoot from the Ohio Players?
Oh, Suge Knight.
Suge Knight.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
No, I'm talking Suge Knight. I told him, I said, Suge. Suge was the most powerful man in the music business. I said, Suge. He was at ION at the time, and I wrote him a letter. I wanted to come see him. Mm-hmm. And I said, you can't whoop the music business, but every dude in the neighborhood, every neighborhood cat, love and respect you because of your position. When you come out let me help you. Because I'd already made the mistakes that he was about to make. Mook coming out, I could have really helped him. So you have to find people that you can that can be a confidant, and that's what I would tell a young person. Find as many old guys that have been in the music business as you can, and soak up as much as you can, and don't be afraid to pay them.
So did Suge Knight take up your advice?
Never did.
Why do you think that is? Not that you can answer that, but
well, ego's a mug. He was still very powerful at the time. He still had a lot of money.
Yeah.
And let's face it. In our business, when you have your highs and you go on your lows, people look at you as a has-been. And people don't respect, especially then, they didn't respect the independent process. I left the majors and went back to the independent process and did Tootsie Roll with the 69 Boys. Did Ghetto Jam with Domino. Did the Mac Mall Illegal Business album. Did Gary Taylor's Blind to It All album. Did Rodney on Joe Cooley's F New York album, and had a lot of success independently, and probably the most successful independent record guy of my era. And one of these days, people are going to have to write books about me, whether they try to write me out of history or not. They're going to have to write books because the things I did, too many people know about them.
So I mean, you know a lot about independent artists, and you've nurtured a lot of them. So do you feel that indie artists are on the come up now? And if there are indie artists tuned in, how do you recommend to an indie artist who's got music and don't know what to do with it and want to get started? What would your recommendation be?
Okay, well, first of all, no, they're not on the come up. They get to come in the game, though. So now they get to come in the game on the same even playing field as everybody else. Now, what's going to put them on the come up is their work ethic. Most indie artists are lazy. Mm-hmm. Most artists are. You have to do a certain amount of work. Now, let me tell you something that I'm doing. I said I'm making soulful bossa nova, what I call cool R&B. It's a whole musical genre that I created for myself because I'm 59. It's music that I want to be able to do when I'm 89. So I created this musical style with bossa nova, jazz, samba, and R&B music. I call it cool R&B or soulful bossa nova. Mm-hmm. And so I said, I'm going to get 1,000 people to contribute $100 to me. You know how many people I have so far?
How many?
86. So I told a friend of mine, man, I got 86 people. And he said, 86, man, you're supposed to get 1,000. But I have 86 now.
Yeah.
That means I only have to get 914 more.
Yes. And
he said, but man, you got so far to go. And I said, you know what? That's the difference between me and you. You'll never make it.
You'll never make it.
Because you'll never do the work. See, just because I say, because he thought because I'm J. King, 1,000 people should come and jump on. I'm asking 1,000 people to depart with $100. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And, for music. So artists have to be willing to be inventive, creative, hardworking, consistent, diligent, disciplined, and honest about what they're creating. When you're creating great music. So this is probably the best music I've ever made in my life, and that includes all my hit records. This is probably the best music I've ever made.
Can't wait to hear some of it.
I got some if you want to hear some. So I got some set up if you want to hear it.
Go for it. Little salsa.
I can't help myself. I just got a glimpse of you. Yeah. Now I'm in the space that only has the room for two. Me and you. I wanna take you on a ride. Someplace nice. where we can't grow. Let it flow. Yes. It just feels so right. It just feels. It just feels so right. Feels so
Nice, man. Very seductive. Got a good feel. Got a nice even summertime vibe.
This is So I think when you make good music, you know, I don't need to sell 1 million records. I don't need to even compete with kids. I don't need to sound like kids. I don't need to go for kids. What I need to do is find people that will listen to the music and say, you know what? Not only do I want to listen to it, but I'm a fan of it. I'm a fan of yours. So I'm looking for people that are going to
You know we call this seductive music, right?
bring it to me, sugar. I call it cool R&B. I like it nice and slow. When I grab hold of you, make your river flow. Taste your love all night long. Ecstasy when you moan. It's my touch you're longing for. I gotta give it to you, baby. As you give me more and more of your love. Oh,
So Jay, what you've done here is
I'll be giving you good loving.
you've created a lane. So with music like this, what's your penetration in the marketplace? Are you're pretty tech savvy? Are you serving it to radio? And if so,
Eventually, yeah. I mean, it'll go to
we
radio.
haven't yet.
I'm gonna start at Smooth Jazz Radio, and then I'm gonna go to Urban AC. But I'll wait. I just want to make a strong. So I have some other songs that are really strong smooth jazz records that are great vocals, that have great instrumentation, that are going to do really well in that realm.
So would you go South by Southwest with this?
I don't know. It's according to if it makes good financial sense. So I'm an independent artist. For me, every dollar is like $100. So I have to be smart in how I spend my $100. Every time I pull a dollar out, what am I going to get out of it? The most money I'm going to spend is at radio. So Urban AC, I have to come out the box with $50,000. Otherwise, I'm just playing around. You know, I hear people say 25, 30,000. I'm like, no, you're not serious. $30,000 is going to get you in the top 40, maybe 38, 35. And if you don't have enough money, but if you got $50,000, you're going to make it into the top 25, top 20. You get a chance to gauge the record. You're going to get some actual real spins, 12, 15 spins a week, which is going to, grow to, 25, 30 spins a week. And then you're going to get it. But if you're just getting 6, 8, 10 spins a week, you're not going to have an impact. Do
you have a streaming team, Jay?
Not yet, but I will. So I just did a deal with Empire. And so I'll release my record in August.
Empire, the record and distribution company, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And I picked Empire because they're here. They're right close to me, right? And Tina Davis is the president, and I know Tina from a long time, and they don't have anybody like me.
Yeah.
And I didn't need any money. I don't want any money from them. I got money. I just want distribution. I wanted my deal the way I wanted it, and I wanted it with me getting a great share of the Lions part of it, more than normal, and I made a compelling argument for it, and so I got what I wanted, and they're happy because they're going to get somebody who is going to do the work. And I'm playing. My first show is going to be July 18th. I'm at Yoshi's,
Oh, get out. Nice.
and and then I'll start.
So for people who don't know what Yoshi's is,
Mhm.
it's in the Bay Area, but can you give us just like a 20, 30-second overview of what that
Yeah,
venue is?
Yoshi's is a world-class venue. It's a 320 seater that every major artist in the urban music scene at one point in time will play, whether it's at the beginning of their career or at the end of their career, what shall I say, record making career. But you're going to end up playing here because it's a world-class venue
Prestigious.
and very prestigious. That I manage Cameo, so Cameo plays, Yoshi's, but when Cameo plays Yoshi's, they might play 3 or 4 nights, 2 shows a night
Because they pack it.
because they're going to pack it out. Yeah, um, so when you're playing that kind of venue, the kind of venue you play tells a lot about you as an artist. So venues are really important. You play, the Cracker Jack Inn. It says a lot about you as an artist. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't play the Cracker Jack Inn. That's how you get your teeth sharp. That's how you learn how to really be an artist. That's how you really, that's where you cut your teeth and learn how to be a great stage performer. What I want to do is grow up from the Cracker Jack Inn to get to Yoshi's, and then from Yoshi's to the Shoreline or something like that.
You make me think about YG, totally different sound and music and kind of artist. But I remember YG when he started out. He lived in clubs before he blew up. He lived in clubs.
Right.
Wherever there was a stage and a microphone, he tried to be on it. What would your advice be for an artist, whether it's artists like trying to cater to older music or older audiences, or if you're trying to cater to younger audiences?
Mm-hmm.
What's your perspective in terms of what should an artist do?
From a performance standpoint, perform whenever, wherever you can, because that's how you become great. That's how you get comfortable on the stage, and you can perform anywhere at any time, and it's going to be consistent across the board. That's what made Prince so incredible. People think Prince just started off in stadiums. No, Prince played in clubs. Prince played to some of the most violent audiences you could ever play to. He opened up for the Rolling Stones and got things thrown at him. That's how he became a great artist. Artists, when you can stand up to that kind of stuff, because
it's Prince back in the day when Prince butt would be out.
Yes.
Okay, that's how I was laughing.
Yeah. But
he's an amazing artist. I worked with Prince. Absolutely amazing.
But you work with him when he's amazing. But he had to do that to get to amazing.
To get there.
So I tell artists, just play. And if you don't have a band, do track dates. Do them in your backyard. Mm-hmm. Do them in your living room.
Yeah.
And you have to be excited like a kid. Because if you're not, you're going to weigh yourself down with all of the heaviness of what if. What if this doesn't happen? What if this person doesn't like it? What if I don't get money? Because everybody equates everything to money. When I did Rumors, I didn't have money. I just had a lot of gumption. And I had no shame. There's a young brother by the name of Sean Rayford you're going to hear about, who's just an okay saxophone player. But he's a hard worker, and he has a nice tone. And so I love his work ethic. So I started connecting with Sean. And now we're doing some shows together. And Sean tells me every day how much he loves me, and I appreciate you. But see, I appreciate Sean because I appreciate a dude who started playing saxophone at 35, who's now 56, making his first album. But Sean will play in your backyard. Nice. Artists have to be willing
to be artists,
to do anything and everything.
Yeah,
get the word out. And not every artist are ready to do that. So they're on the come in. What's going to put them on the come up is their work ethic.
Tell us, how did you creatively come up? Because Rumors was a very unique sounding record, and lyrically, it was very profound and very provocative. If you can, and I'm not going to actually be short, but there are lots of things I want to ask you. But tell me, how did you come up with that unique sound?
I don't know. I wish I could tell you. I just knew that most people thought the record sucked. Said it
Really?
seemed like it was made in a garage.
Really?
I mixed it in a day. And if I could tell you about it and give you the whole formula, I'd be in the Smithsonian.
Wow.
So I don't know. I just knew that I made a record that I believed in, and other people laughed at it and made fun of it,
Such a classic record.
but not to the music business. Because you got to remember,
You think it was because you were making mockery of Michael Jackson and stuff?
no,
like that?
no, I don't think I don't even think people even listened to the lyric. They didn't like the record. I remember I played it for Jerome Gasper, and he said this would never make it on the radio, and it would never go. This record sounds like you made it in a garage.
Wow.
So when you got a guy who signs artists to labels, and then when Russ Regan, God rest his soul, when he heard it, Russ Regan liked the record so much that he wanted to sign it to the black division over at Polygram, and Jerome Gasper blocked him because Jerome was the man.
Wow. Interesting. Well, all A&R people did not have ears. You do know that, right?
Oh yeah.
You've done a lot. What would you like our global audience to know about you and to know about your story?
When you've been dumb as I've been, you seem smart, but
You made mistakes, Jay, but you didn't let them stop you.
nah. And I'm just lucky. I feel lucky and blessed to have had the opportunity to be in the industry at that time. That it was a wonderful industry. That mid '80s going into the '90s, it was just an incredible time. It was very magical, and these times are very magical. It is wonderful to me and Val, when we're on the road, we say these are our mini vacations. We're 59. I'm 59. Val's 57. Samuel is 54. I remember when I was 24 and I was the old guy in the group. I was when Sam's mom and dad. Sam was 19, and his mom and dad said to me, if we let him go on the road with you, he can't drink. And I said, yes, sir. And I didn't drink. And one day we were in Boston, and they were in this lounge area, and he had a drink. I said, what kind of drink is that? And he said, it's just Long Island iced tea. And I said, oh, okay. It wasn't until months later that I learned that a Long Island iced tea was an actual alcoholic beverage. It was iced tea from Long Island. I'm still making music. I still love music. I don't let the music business define me, or success in the music business, how many records I sell, define me. What defines me is when I wake up in the morning, how much of what I'm doing do I love, and do I control? Do I own? I own every bit of who I am. So money ain't my issue. I'm gonna always have money. I know how to make money. I'm an investor. I'm a speculator. I'm a worker. I do 3 radio shows right now. 4. I do Kings in the Morning 5 days a week from 8 to 10. I do the Traffic Jam from 3 to 7, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. I do It's Never Too Late at 2 o'clock from 2 to 3 on Thursdays. And I do KFBK on Sundays from 4 to 5. So, I'm a revenue generator. And you don't have to have these big, massive audiences to create revenue. And
is it anything you do with up and coming artists or aspiring artists or young people who want to get in the industry? And if so, what is that, if anything?
I don't really, you know what? I mostly work with older artists because they don't have a lot of outlets. But anybody that wants to call me and talk to me, young guys call me and talk to me all the time about the independent, because it's such a strange animal, and everybody thinks you got to have money, you got to go to radio, and I'm like, no, you don't. You got to have ingenuity and innovation. You have to have creativity. You have to have gumption. You have to have a heart. You have to You have to have no shame. You got to be able to turn it on. For audience of 22, 2002, or 2,000,002, you got to be ready to turn it on at all times. if anybody wants information, I give information for free. I tell people all the time, I don't charge for information. I charge for when I work. You want you want me to answer questions? I'm gonna answer questions all day long. You want me to start working? You got to pay me.
So let's segue. There's a lot of talk from a lot of people about the extinction of the Black music executives and the resurgence of independent artists. What's your take on that?
It's not the extinction of Black record executives. It's the extinction of record executives, period.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they
So
just...
you think Black and white executives are
because it's so much an extinction more than it is. It's a changing of how the music business is manifested. So if you are in yesteryear and you're a dinosaur, you're going to die. But if you are a progressive thinker, if you are using social media and digital distribution and streaming and direct connection with your fan base, this is the best time in the world to be an artist. Now there are no rules. You can be 60 and make a record, and you don't have to have 1 million artists or 1 million fans to be an artist. You can have 5,000 fans. If you had 5,000 fans that contributed $100 a year to you to patronize your art, and you gave them really cool and innovative stuff, limited edition paraphernalia and access to you, you'd have $500,000. You could take $300,000 of that money to create all the cool gadgets you want to give to them, and you got $200,000 a year to live off of. And if you grow that fan base by anywhere 3 to 20% over the course of time, you could become a millionaire. And if you're a good investor, and if you've invested in the market, and if you understand cryptocurrency and stuff like that, you can take that money and become monetarily wealthy. And so your music never has to sell. You can give it all away whenever you want to. And recognize that record companies and the music business, the one thing that we should appreciate is streaming, because record companies have a hard time recognizing new revenue streams. So I hear a lot of people complain about streaming, and I say, stop complaining about streaming. Be excited that it exists, because I remember when people complained about sound exchange. But now those sound exchange checks every quarter are fat.
Yeah.
So I think the music industry is just evolving. It's getting creative. It's keeping up with technology, and that's a wonderful thing.
I want you to take off on something.
Okay.
We went through this George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and everybody, Aubrey, all the Black Lives Matter stuff. We were all in quarantine as we watched senseless killings on people, whatever the situation may have been. George Floyd was obviously the one that stood out the most to everybody. But we went through all of that, and we saw the Goldman Sachs put money up for women's programs, and our entertainment industry companies, like Warner Brothers pledged $100 million to, they called it a change fund. Right. Sony put in $100 million, and then the publishing put in another $100 million, and Universal put it, which is the biggest of all the labels, put in $25 million. So with all of that being done for social justice, major or minor, however you want to view it, what was your take on the major music companies' commitment to Black lives and to the change?
So I'm going to be a little controversial here.
You always are.
So Black Lives Matter isn't an organization that I support, because Black lives don't matter to Black Lives Matter. Because if they did, they'd march and they'd be vocal no matter who were killing Black people, especially when Black folk were killing Black folk. Mm-hmm. But if you look at Black Lives Matter, they are a Marxist organization, an organization that supports LGBTQ, which I have no problem with. The problem is they put the name Black Lives Matter out there because that's what get the dollars. But the fight isn't about that. And so record companies, like all companies, they just want to be on the right side of what is happening in a political sense. But if they really wanted social justice, if they really wanted to do some social justice, what they would do is they would say, you know what, we own catalogs that we shouldn't own. We've mistreated some of these folk like Howlin' Wolf and Little Walter and Sly Stone and George Clinton and Roger Troutman, folks who've made hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars for record companies. And I'm a businessman, so I understand why record companies take the lion's share of the money. They should. They have a lot of expense to go with that lion's share, right? But then there comes a day where you know that you are making so much more money than the artist. And maybe there should come a time where the artist gets to own their catalog. You know, I'm in the deal with Warner Brothers right now, and I put in my request for my masters to come back to me. They're going to come back to me next year because they should.
Congratulations. That's good.
But most artists don't know it. Most artists probably didn't fill out the paperwork because there was a window for that. If we're really going to do social justice, just like if we're really going to do what they call reparations, you're not going to do it with just having a commission of Black people. You're going to get it done if you have a commission of all people, but especially white folk as part of that commission, because, Ernie, I look at reparations like a boxing match. If you're going to fight me, Ernie, in a ring, but the guys that you train with fight just like you, and then you get in the ring with me, I may beat you because you never even prepared for me. You only prepared yourself to box somebody who boxed like you. And so when we have these commissions with only Black people on them, we're not preparing to take questions from people that don't look like us. We only prepared to take questions from people that look like us. So the only way we can prepare for that is to have people on the commission, whether they're Black, yellow, red, brown, or beige, so that they can present an opposition to our thinking. And the same with artists. If artists really want to get their masters back, they have to create a system in which they have an Ernie Singleton and a Ray Harris and a Herb Trowick and people like that to debate against it, because not to stop us from getting it, but to be that other side so we can prepare an argument. Am I making sense to you?
Yeah, but let me ask something then, because you hit a lot of nerves. Let's go back to Black. How do you feel that the entertainment industry should deal with reckoning race and equality? You talked about the masters. Are you suggesting that they forgive, or they completely give it back to you? What are you saying?
Well, even if they want to administer it, right? You give me a big lump sum of money for keeping your company alive. Mm-hmm. And then moving forward, you write me a check every quarter based on sales moving forward. And I'm your partner now. Whether it's 50-50, 60-40, 70-30, whatever, I'm your partner. And so and then when I die, the legacy goes to my children. And you do you slowly but surely fix it to where I own 100% of my catalog, so my family can take my legacy and do whatever they want to do with it, because we don't know what it's going to be in the future. You know, these are called intellectual properties for a reason. They're very smart properties. They change with the generations, with the technology, with the industry.
So you think that they are not doing what they could do to be fair?
No, they've done nothing. Giving to social justice isn't helping artists. You have a lot of artists today that are really struggling, that aren't living a good life, and that is heartbreaking to me. But I get it. You have a lot of executives that gave their heart to record companies. I mean, gave their hearts to them, but they didn't have any real retirement program. They didn't have a ownership and stocks and they didn't do that. So I think if you're going to give to social justice, give to the social justice of the industry that you and the people that you've molested. It's a very hard industry. You know how tough this industry is.
So Jay, this is a segment of the podcast that I do, and I actually call it Ask Ernie.
Okay.
And this is where my guests get to ask me a question. If you got one, you don't have none.
No.
It's not a big deal, but any question that you want to ask me.
So Ernie, looking at radio today, what makes radio so difficult for independent artists to grab hold of today? And is radio as important today as it was when you were at your apex and moving the needle with radio as the force?
That's a compound question. It's as important, but back in the day when I was at my apex, radio was the cake. Today, radio is the icing on the cake. And what makes radio important is if you got a hit, first of all, you've got to cause that hit to ignite and explode, I should say, virally online through your social media. Kids are doing it now through TikTok. They're doing it on Instagram. They're using social media in a major way. Radio today is also challenging to penetrate because radio stations are also listening and looking for your social media footprint. Let's call it a footprint. A lot of people, they'll say, I got 5,000, I got 10,000. Those are not footprints. Those are like toenail prints. They're looking for your footprint.
Even for big artists, even for older artists that don't have the same.
Older artists have something else working for them.
Okay.
Older artists has brand recognition, but it doesn't guarantee that they're going to get exposure. They still have to have the music that's going to explode and ignite and compete.
Right.
And I constantly reference lately people like the Baby, people like Justin Bieber with Peaches. When you're competing with that kind of music, those kind of songs, older artists are not. You got the footprint, so we're going to listen to you. We're going to recognize your music, but it's got to fit in. So unfortunately, a lot of older artists are doing music that would have been appropriate before TikTok and in the social media footprint. Because people recognize you by name, they take notice of your music. But your music now has to fit in to where music is today. And I may add one other thing. There's a community of people that are, I would say, between the age of 15 to 25 or 30. Those are the people who dictate popular music. What's going to be a big hit? Every now and then you can be an Adele, or you can be Megan Thee Stallion. You come up with a song like WAP and it takes off. But here again, social media plays a big role. And people who say, "Oh, that's not." Same thing, Jay. They say that's not music. Kind of like rumors. People will say it's not music when it is music.
Well, because you got older people that are just getting older. I listen to them. First of all, Anderson .Paak is my favorite artist.
Great,
I
great.
love. I buy everything that he makes. I buy, but
Great.
I also love Snow Allegra,
Mhm.
who I think is incredible, and Lucky Day
Okay.
and Giveon. Of course, her.
Sweetie.
And yep, and I don't know who Sweetie is.
Oh man.
Yeah, but I listen to there's a certain musical element that has to be there, and I don't believe that you have to fit in. I believe that you have to be comfortable with what you're doing.
You can talk forever, man. I gotta say thank you. You've been absolutely amazing. That those two songs you played, I do want my copies of them. Okay.
What I'm going to do, Ernie,
Are you going to stream them and make them physical, or are it going to just be a digital download?
Streaming and making physical, because there's we're going to find out that physical product is never going away. You saw the resurgence of vinyl because people want the experience. The CD isn't going away because people are going to want the experience.
So, Jay, I got a different question for you because I know we're going to get cut off in a minute. Okay. We're talking about streaming music. What about streaming performances? I'm involved with this. We're streaming is a big part of what we do.
That's the future.
Have you began to approach that, or are you doing it already? And can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah. So we're looking to stream at Yoshi's. So they're working it out right now.
Good.
Me and a guy named Sean Rayford, who's the up and coming, the guy I was telling you about. Me and Sean, we're gonna buy our own stage, our own tent that we can put people under when it's so hot, to do outside venues. We already have our own sound system, and we're going to do our own shows. We're going to create, and so the next thing to do is we're going to create our own streaming venue where we can stream our shows. So no matter where you are in the world, if you buy my record in Japan, you'll get to see me. You'll get to see me live. We're going to be self-contained because by doing that, we're in control of who we are, what we are, and what we grow to.
So is there also a future stream show that we can look forward to?
Absolutely.
With Club Nouveau?
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, Club Nouveau's performing tomorrow. We're in San Francisco tomorrow. And then July 10 and 11, we're in Alomar, and then Colorado Springs, Colorado. July 30, we're in Detroit. July 31st, we're in Omaha, Nebraska. August 14, 15, 16, we're in Savannah, Macon, and Augusta, Georgia. August 28th, we're in Nashville, Tennessee. September 11th, we're in Los Angeles.
So you're on tour.
Yeah, we're working.
Wow. So average venue size, what are you doing? Because we're coming out of COVID, and a lot of places are not 100% open yet. What can we expect? And are you streaming from all of these places, or you got a specific designated spots you're going to stream from?
Well, we would stream if Club Nouveau was doing it. We're getting ready to work on a new album right now, but if we were doing streaming, we would probably do it ourselves from a venue. So whatever I do with Sean, of course, Club Nouveau is included in it. So if it works for Jay King and Sean Rayford, we know it works for Club Nouveau because they have a bigger audience than both of those artists.
So Jay King, have you done? And you may have and may not have. Have you done Unsung? Have you done Uncensored? Any of those shows?
No, I don't. I don't think that I should. So we were approached for Unsung at one time, but I just thought that Unsung was a show about tragedy, and they have to. It's just what I've seen. So
what about Uncensored? That's.
I've never heard Uncensored.
Well, you haven't.
No.
The Uncensored is for people who are, like, I think it's ideal for Club Nouveau because you guys have, you're really not unsung.
Right.
But Uncensored is just, it's the next level.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's approached me, but if somebody approached me, I would look at it. If it's not, I'm really, I'm not a guy who likes to talk about the past. Me, Val, and Samuel are family. Jenny and Tommy are friends of ours. And so if it's anything that has to talk about why we aren't together and stuff, That's family. You don't. That's none of your goddamn business. That's how my head think, right?
You don't air your laundry in public.
No. But if you want to talk about the music and the process that we go through and how different we are as musicians, because Val is a real funketeer. Val's solo albums are very funky. Sam's solo records are very popish. My solo records are very jazzy and, and world music. So when you put us all together, we really come up with some interesting stuff. And the new album is going to be interesting. It'll be the first time that we sit down together and write. Normally, I write the songs and bring them in. In this process, I said, you know what, guys, we're going to write together. I'll bring you guys skeletons. We'll start figuring them out and start adding from there. And that's the new process we're going to do.
So before I say goodnight, you've got to tell me, where do you stand with NFTs?
NFTs are very interesting. They a lot of people like cryptocurrency. Is speculation. So if you get involved with NFTs, just look at it as a speculative deal that may or may not make money. I bought the Dogecoin when it was a third of a penny.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I put a couple of $100 in Doge. Okay. I bought it at a third of a penny. My couple of $100 turned into $43,000.
Mm-hmm.
I took the majority of the money out, and then I kept 10,646 coins. That was at the time $7,000. Today, those 10,646 coins are $3,200. But I'm not concerned with it because I only put $200 in. I made $43,000.
So you made money.
So, but I know that cryptocurrency is speculative. I don't look at it as an investment. I look at the investment for the possibilities, and that's how I look at NFTs. I'm going to do an NFT for the possibility, not because I think it's going to make a gazillion dollars. I buy stocks for that,
mm-hmm.
in real companies that have a future, like green stock and electric vehicles and electric batteries and things that have a future that are maybe 5, 10, 20 years from now, that I'm buying stocks for 30 and 40 and $50 that one day are going to be worth $500, $1,000, $2,000. And that's what investments do. So I look at NFT as speculation, the same way I look at options as speculation, and I look at stocks as real investments.
Jay King, this has been a blast, man. I got to say thank you. I double thank you. This is really just a restart. It's really been amazing to reconnect with you. I'm going to say thank you for joining me on Takeoff. Happy Juneteenth, Jay.
Same to you, Ernie.
So I'm going to sign out. Musically yours. Hopefully we'll get to do this again.
Absolutely.